Hello, everybody. I'm Sue Metz. I'm the president of the New Jersey Choral Consortium, and we're very, very happy to have everyone here. This turned out to be a big hit. We, like you in your choruses, the New Jersey Choral Consortium has been trying to manage in this strange new world. This is the first time that we have done a virtual workshop, and we hope it works. We have many hands on deck assisting with this. And just to mention the consortium board members, we have Marina Alexander, who is vice president and past president, and she will be moderating the panel. We have Jeremy Lees, who is the treasurer and will be the
Sue, you muted yourself again. I'm not sure how you did it, but your icon is muted.
All righty.
I think it was Jeremy muting everybody coming in.
All righty. Now, okay, I don't know what was heard or not heard, so forgive me if I repeat myself. It's either technology or old age. You may contact Jeremy Lees by sending him a chat if you have difficulty with Zoom during this session. You may contact Elizabeth Federosa, who is a board member of the consortium, with questions that you would like the panelists to answer. I will say this all over again because more people will come on later. We hope that you will set your Zoom to speaker view so that you'll be able to see the panelists who are speaking, because we have 50 plus people. And if you set it in gallery view, you'll see a whole lot of people who are muted, because everyone except the panelists will remain muted during this session. And we ask you to please remain muted because we don't want your dog barking and traffic going by and toilet flushing and all that sort of thing coming through in the panel. We are recording this so that other people can view it later. And to the best of my knowledge, that will include your lovely faces on video, the panelists and the attendees. So if for some reason you are not feeling very photogenic and you don't want your lovely face to be in this video, you can just click stop video in your Zoom, which is usually at the bottom. Sometimes it's at the top or the side. And if you see nothing, if you just sort of hold your mouse over the top or the bottom or the side, it should magically appear, we hope. Okay, again, we don't have time for all of your questions, but we know that you will have many questions and we want to help you with them. So you can contact the panelists individually after the panel is over, and they have kindly provided their emails, which I put into the chat at the very beginning of the chat. I will also email them to everyone attending in a follow-up message after the panel is over. And you can also certainly contact us at the consortium. The consortium is interested in compiling a list of input of all of the choirs in New Jersey that are dealing with COVID in one way or another, how your choir is handling it. If you would like to share that information, you can send it to board member Barbara Sanderman. And I put her email into the chat. I'll also send it out later. Barbara is also putting together a list of resources for dealing with COVID, websites, and so on. And if you have any that you are aware of, you may also send them to Barbara. Oh, I was introducing the board and I think I was interrupted. I did not introduce the secretary, Ruth Anderman. Eric Schwartz is a board member. And did I cover everybody else by now? Is somebody counting? Okay. I think I did. I think I got Marina, Elizabeth, Barbara, Jeremy, Ruth, Eric. I think. Okay, good. Like most of your choirs, the New Jersey Choral Consortium is a volunteer organization, and we are always interested in more helpers. We are always interested in more members. If you are in a choir in New Jersey that is not already a member, we would love to have you. And we would love to do what we can to help you in some small way get through this situation. We don't have magic answers. We only have each other, what each chorus has chosen to do based on that particular chorus. Your chorus is different. You need to make your own choices, but sharing, at least sharing what we've done, what has worked, what hasn't worked, is what we as the consortium want to provide. And I think that is the extent of my introduction. And I think that most everyone has signed in. If you didn't hear the beginning of my introduction, you will see in the chat, if you scroll up to the top of the chat, you'll see a little reminder about how to use the chat, where to send what, that is a content question versus a technical question, and how to reach the panelists by email later, because with 53 people plus, we will not be able to answer all of the questions that come up in the chat, but we do want you to share your questions and issues with the panelists and with the consortium later, so we can try to help each other. And with that, I will pass the virtual gavel to Marina Alexander.
Great. Thank you so much, Sue, and welcome everyone to today's forum. We have really been these last many months in a situation that I don't think we could have ever forecasted. Not being able to be with each other, to be with our singing choruses, to be able to be with our students and make live music is just so anathema to our very being. At the same time, I think we have all been unbowed in finding ways to try to make the most of the circumstances. And certainly we've made various decisions in how to best cope with this very strange and challenging time. So the purpose of today's event is to try to highlight of a few different areas of concern that we've all had to make decisions about, to share the different paths that we've taken, and to see if in so doing, we can find a way to help each other to continue to cope as successfully as possible with this present circumstance until the beautiful day comes when we can all walk into a rehearsal room or performance space and open our mouths and wave our arms and sing for joy together. So we have come up with a body of questions and a wonderful, wonderful panel. And I think I will introduce the panel as we go along. We have with us today, though, Anne Matlack, Heather Mitchell, Patti DeAndrea, John Palatucci, and Elaine Grossman. And the first topic on the agenda for today is, how have you been rehearsing during this period of time? We know that there have been a lot of different approaches, partly depending upon how your course has been able to continue to be communicative and organized, partly due to technology as well, whatever technology you've been able to take advantage of. So I'm gonna toss this out first to Anne Matlack and Heather Mitchell, and let me give you a quick understanding of who they are in case you're not familiar with them. Anne's been the director of the Harmonium Choral Society since 1987. During her tenure, the 100 Voice Ensemble has been recognized for musical excellence and for innovative programming. In addition to her work with Harmonium, Anne is celebrating her 29th year as the choir master at Grace Episcopal Church in Madison, where she has a full program, including both children and adult choirs. She has been a very active educator, clinician, taught at Kane University and Lafayette College. She's the 2003 recipient of the Morris Arts Outstanding Professional in the Arts Award. She is currently the president of the New Jersey board of the American Choral Directors Association, which I am very, very happy to have her here representing too, and has also served as the Repertoire and Resources Chair for Community Choirs in the ACDA. So I don't know if that's enough credential. And then let me also introduce Heather. Heather is the founder and artistic director of Five Lives, and also sings there as an alto, but she's also the artistic director of the Hopewell Valley Chorus and also sings with the Manhattan Choral Ensemble as an alto, and is the conductor of the Montclair Community Choir, and most recently served as conductor in residence at Manhattan Concert Productions. With Five Lives, she made her conducting debut at Carnegie Hall in the vastly unfamiliar Schumann Requiem. Let me tell you, vastly unfamiliar is really true. It's a fabulous piece. I love that piece. Okay, which I'm so happy that you brought to Carnegie Hall. She, in 2006, earned the Emerging Conductor Award from the Minnesota Choral and received Outstanding Conductor and Outstanding Achievement in Chorus Music Awards. Is often sought out as a clinician for many festivals. And I don't know again how she continues to not be exhausted because she's so busy. So we have two very fine folks to get this forum started. So can I turn it over to either of you and ask you what decisions you have made with your ensembles for rehearsals, and what has worked and what have you found that possibly didn't work? So Anne, why don't you start us off?
Sure. And I just I want to send out a caveat. It's sort of like going on Pinterest. You're going to hear a whole lot of ideas today, and it's also okay if you're not doing all of them. You know, be easy on yourself. We have basically been Zoom rehearsing, and what does that mean? There's only so much that you can do. So what I've come up with is a combination of music education, social meeting time, actual vocalizing, because people really do need to vocalize, and then some rehearsing. I'm at the piano on Zoom, people are muted. I'll go through parts, but you're muted. So right now all the music we're working on is a cappella. For the fall, I decided to focus on music that will someday go on the tour that we canceled, whether it's next summer or the summer after. So I'm trying to get sort of a body of repertoire that we all still will keep current. It's also the kind of repertoire that, because it's a cappella, we can pick up a small group hopefully and go somewhere as soon as we're able to, you know. So There's also a lot of harmonium history involved, and I have many different people. There are people who have been in the group for 1 year and people who've been in the group for 40 years. So I'm trying to kind of equalize some of that history by we play cahoots. So we play trivia games about the subject of the day, or the alto section, or men's chorus music, whatever I decide that week is going to be. And that's just a kind of a fun thing to throw in. I can talk more about that later, or put it in the chat if you want to know what a cahoot is. In the spring, we were thinking that maybe this June concert, which we all had the music for, but had not even started rehearsing, would happen. So we would actually rehearse that repertoire, and we did have a pianist at the time, and she had made tracks, and I would tell people, work with your track. We had tracks which would highlight the soprano part and highlight the tenor part over the piano part, and then people could practice that, and then we would come together and maybe sing it together, with me at the piano and them in their living room. A good thing to combine into that sort of I'm by myself and you're at your piano is if you can find a good YouTube, either of yourself singing it or a group that you would like your group to emulate, and encourage them to sing along. The whole sing along on Zoom thing actually can be okay. If you see all the people in their screens, participating, and you have a nice YouTube video, and make sure you've used your, computer sound, make sure you've vetted the video and that they're singing it the way you would approve of. So that's some of the ways we've been singing. And I didn't know if you wanted me to talk as well, that we have done a tiny little bit of outdoor singing. And again, that was much more process oriented and only for a small group, since that's all that is safe. And only a small group actually was comfortable doing that, which is fine. So organizing different outdoor things depending on the weather from August until the first week in November, we did that. And that was just more for people's sort of hearts and souls, I mean, just the first time we did it in August, and we were standing in someone's yard, really distanced, and I had hula hoops out. I was so hyper, like stand in this hula hoop, stand in that hula hoop. Or you're married, you can stand together. People were like, just to be able to sing. That wore off a little bit, and we needed to find a better acoustic than someone's grass. Which we did ultimately find some places with like a pavilion or a roof that's all open where some of us were able to sing outside, but some people are not going to want to do that. So it's really a combination of things. And also I think it's really important to let your group know, it's okay if you can't stay the whole time. I have a lot of teachers. I'm lucky. My younger members are teachers. I'm not seeing them so much. On Sunday night, they are like busy trying to prep for hybrid and all that entails, and all the Zoom burnout that entails. So instead, we've had some other kind of meetups for teachers, but that's not really on the subject of rehearsing. So anyway, that's the basic thing. We do a Sunday night mixture every week at the time when we normally would rehearse, but a little shorter than we normally would rehearse.
Yeah, I think the amount of time that is tolerable online is decidedly different.
Definitely.
Right. Normally, I conduct Arcadian Choral here in New Jersey, and normally my rehearsal is 2 hours and 45 minutes on a given Tuesday night. And there's absolutely no way you're going to do that on Zoom.
Yeah.
I would lose my mind, so forget it.
I don't know if there's any children's choirs here, but I've been doing it with my children are the most amenable to singing on Zoom, and the most amenable to raising their hand, unmuting themselves, and singing back at me by themselves. But my adults don't really want to do that so much. But if you can find games in which a little of that is happening, it's good. Yeah.
I think adults are more intimidated, and part of the thing that is going on right now is that people don't have the support of another singer, standing next to them, and they can feel intimidated if you ask to hear them, and so that has to be handled kind of delicately. Heather, what have you experienced?
Yeah, and first of all, those are all really amazing ideas. So congratulations on making all that successful. Well done. I'm with the Hopewell Valley Chorus, of course, and we have not got into the formal rehearsal setting for Zoom. What I have done with the choir is every week on Monday nights when we rehearse, we of course meet, we have our socializing time like Anne had mentioned, but I had either prepared previous videos that they can watch on their own time, or we end up going through something live. So for example, this last May was supposed to be our 60th anniversary, and we were set to do Carmina Burana. We'll pretend that it was perfect and amazing, but obviously that could not continue. And then rehearsing Carmina over Zoom was just a little bit tricky. So I had, 1 week, maybe we all go over the text together and I speak everything. They're speaking it back on mute, of course, in their own rooms. I have more than a few shy choir members, so they're not as comfortable singing solo in their own homes with their family members around, husbands, wives, whatever it is. The dogs, I think, are fine. But everyone else, so we ended up doing some small group singing outdoors that we can come back to later when you get there. But otherwise, our rehearsals have been all presentations by me, by my accompanist, and then by guest lecturers. So we've taken this opportunity to learn all these things that we all wish we can cram into a rehearsal during our normal week. And yeah, so otherwise, if we're sticking with Carmina, because of course we postpone it, I said, recorded those videos so they can watch and practice on their own time and when we do it together every once in a while.
I mean, thankfully, we do have the modern technology where we can post materials online to help with learning, and that is a godsend, certainly. What I wanted to ask you, Heather, you said that you've been working with your accompanist. How have you managed that?
Yeah, well, like many of you, I'm sure I'm fortunate that I have a top-notch pianist. So in a way of keeping her involved, I asked her to present some things too. So from the perspective of piano, different editions, what a pianist usually looks for when she's searching for a publisher, or, text painting, or whatever great topic she wants to talk about. And my choir's big fans of her. So I just want her to have the opportunity to impart her information too. So she's been presenting just like I have been.
And has she been actually playing parts and such during your rehearsals?
She has not done that. I've done that. She certainly would. She'll play during some of her presentations, but when it came, because I was just making them in my own house, it was just easier for me to just plonk away.
I have two ensembles, Arcadian here and Richmond Choral Society on Staten Island, and I have deliberately decided to keep the accompanists engaged.
Yeah.
So they come to all the rehearsals online, and they play the parts so that people have something solid to sing with. And this way too, I can continue to keep them connected to the ensembles, and we pay them still.
Yeah.
Obviously, they need to be paid. And so that acts as a little bit of a lifeline, I think, that is so very, very important to those individuals. I wanted to share with you all one other thing. I've been a little, either you can consider it brave or crazy. And with Arcadian Chorale, we started off doing just Zoom rehearsals, and we met by Zoom through the entire spring. And then after the summer, we started in September, continuing with Zoom, but starting in early October, we went to a combination of live rehearsal plus hybrid. And what the form that has taken is due to the fact that we are able to control our environment. We have a large Presbyterian church that we usually rehearse in their fellowship hall, which is in the downstairs in their basement with no windows. So the church has agreed to allow us to sing upstairs in the sanctuary, which is the church and has a high ceiling, a beautiful church, big church with windows that open. And happily enough, with nobody else who's coming into the building on the night that we are there. And so our singers have been coming in with masks, with full protocols for social distancing. We take their temperatures, they sign in blood that they haven't been to, Florida, and they have been able to rehearse live for this last month and a half. Happily enough too, in the chorale, I have a couple of folks who are very savvy when it comes to tech. And so they've been able to set things up so that we create a Zoom meeting at the same time for those folks who are not coming to the live rehearsal. Coming to the live rehearsal is entirely optional. People come only if they make the decision to do that. And so at this point, we have probably maybe about I would say maybe 30% of the chorale that has decided to come. And that's fine, but a good number of the rest of the folks are tuning in every Tuesday and participating in the rehearsal that they see us having on Zoom. So I just wanted to show you a quick example of that. I'm going to share my screen so that I can play a little bit of that for you guys. Here we go. And that should let me do that. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up a little bit to where you can see a little bit of the warm up. This is the way we're spatially distanced. Everybody is wearing a mask, as you can see. And
that's great. Your singing posture you can establish just by doing this.
Starting
And little by little, this should just feel the natural way that you stand when you sing, right? Without having to do this.
and
Ha ha ha.
so this is what they see. They see their own, when folks tune in, they see me. They see the broad view of the people in the room. And then again, their own video and such. So we see the presence of people who are there. The only thing I will warn you about is sometimes I'm singing when I shouldn't be. And so just ignore that, okay? But let me give you a quick quick taste of what this is like. I think you get the idea with the warm up. And let me just take it ahead a little bit to a spot that we're working on some repertory. It should be pretty good right around here.
One more time at 25. Everybody except for sopranos, please. Okay? And again, put a little marcato into this. 1 and go. That's beautiful. It's like you're singing in church. Oh, wait, you are. Okay.
Okay, so this goes on. We made the rehearsals an hour and a half. I'll stop sharing the screen so you can see the speakers. It has taken some courage to do this. And please understand that I did not do this without the express approval to do so of our board. We had many months of discussion as to whether we would get to that point of live work. And it was not really until late September that we decided that we would go ahead. I will tell you, for me as a conductor, it has been a godsend. I wave my arms and I actually get to hear what people are doing. They get to hear each other. One of my singers, who I believe is with us this afternoon, came up to me after this last rehearsal and said that by singing at a distance in the church, she had to know her part better. And she had to listen more actively. And so if there's any benefit that's come out of this, I think that is something that we can be very happy about. It's not the same as having the usual 80 people I have in the room, but it's pretty damn good for this period of time. So please know that the only way that this was possible is because I can totally control the environment and the participants in these sessions. Okay. That I think is a kind of a good synopsis of the things that we've experienced in terms of rehearsal.
Can I add something to Heather, what she had said about her presentations that she's having?
Yes, thank you.
There are various, I've been having composers for our first hour, and they're all composers. We've either done their works or whatever. So I have a little bit of a relationship with them. But I believe that ACDA has a list of people who have signed up to offer themselves, I believe, for free to come to you for this kind of thing. And I can send it to you so you can send it it out later.
That would be great. Please do.
To be able to bring in guests and have them talk about something or other. I was asked to do a virtual summer sing for Masterwork over the summer, which was just basically talk about the Vivaldi Gloria. And boy, did I learn a lot by trying to research what I was going to talk about. It's so easy to go in and wave your arms around, but I spent hours and I found this awesome video of Vivaldi's Women. You should all look this up. There's people that Vivaldi's Women, they recreate what it must have been like to perform these Vivaldi works, and they go to the ospedale, and then they have women in costume by candlelight. And I learned all this by being forced to do a video presentation. So that was a cool thing. And I had one question for you, Marina. Are you going to, is there a level at which during this second wave that you're going to shut that down, or are you guys going to keep going?
Well, that's a great question. We evaluate whether we can continue to the next week every time. All right. So in other words, we're not taking it for granted in any way. I am concerned about the second wave. And I believe that our rehearsal falls under the same kind of structure that the governor has put forward for school sports. You can have a practice for a school sports team as long as only the participants are there, right? No other ancillary personnel of any kind. And certainly we would fall into that category. The question becomes again, how safe is it in general to hold this right now? The thing that I would suggest to you is that most of our members are being so careful. And I do trust that they will not come if they feel that they would in any way be endangering our circumstances. I've had conversations to that extent with several of the folks coming. But at the same time, if things take a negative turn, then we'd need to turn this off and go back to completely virtual rehearsals. We're living week to week.
Marina, would this be a good time to ask some questions pertaining to what's already been said today?
Yes, please. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Okay, so we had a couple of questions already. Barbara Sanderman wants to know if there are insurance or liability concerns when you have indoor and or outdoor rehearsing, and are people having to sign waivers for you?
Those are very good questions. Thank you. Before I started to do any of this, I spoke to my insurance broker, and I wanted to know if I could purchase additional insurance that would in some way give us a little bit of an edge here. And he said there was no such product that we could buy. And so we do carry accident and liability insurance that would need to see us through. But I did try. I really did try. And in terms of signing waivers, I did check into that as well. And I was told by a retired judge here in New Jersey, who I very much respect, that signing a waiver does not give you any immunity. It does not provide any protection. And so instead of doing that, we did ask people every time they come in, they have to fill in the COVID form that you probably signed in at your doctor's office or your dentist's office, right? Saying that you don't have a runny nose, you don't have this, you don't have that, you haven't been to a Oshkosh yet. And we make people do that every single time they come in. We check their temperatures. They come in, they use hand sanitizer. They wipe down the pews with the wipes before they leave. We take all our trash out. I even got a call from the secretary at the church a couple of weeks after we had started these rehearsals, asking if we had been there, because we cleaned up so well, they couldn't tell that we were there. So we've been trying to do that as responsibly as possible. Any other questions, Elizabeth?
Yes, the next two happen to be more music oriented, but someone, I think his name is Hamilton Arnold or Arnold Hamilton, I'm not sure which is the first name, wants to know, isn't there still a Zoom delay between conductor and accompanist, or are you and your accompanist in the same room? Which would be there's no delay.
Great question. There is a Zoom delay. My accompanist and I are not in the same room when we're doing online rehearsals. When I'm doing the live rehearsals, the accompanist is present.
I think that's what this person meant. Yeah.
But in the Zoom rehearsals, what I basically need to do is I verbally set a tempo, and then I hand it off to the accompanist who plays.
Okay.
And that way, again, I can control the tempo, but obviously there's no way that they can respond to two inputs at the same time.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's
May I talk a little bit about that?
Please, thank you. Hi, Elaine. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. The Zoom delay, the problem of not hearing your singers when they sing to you, the problem of having very fine singers not want to sing alone in a cappella was very disturbing to me. And when my alto section leader for Sharim Visharot, who's here on the program today, Karen said, I don't know, I didn't feel so good about that. Well, then I have to listen because she is a very good singer. And we had a Zoom revelation. What we're doing is we have created soundtracks that we send out for all of our pieces that we want to learn. And they're fewer pieces. We can't do as much this year. And I instructed my singers to sing to me with earplugs in their ears, hearing the track that we created, the soprano with piano, the alto with piano, and one at a time sing it back to me. And I could hear what they were doing. And I could gently say, well, in measure so-and-so, you need a C sharp, not a C natural. Or look, you were very, you were very careful, but you came in early because you were being careful, or something of that nature. And then I took it one step further the next week, and I went into breakout sessions. I'd planned to go into breakout sessions of sopranos together, altos together, and so forth. But the Zoom gods didn't cooperate with us, and so people were mixed up. And we often sing or rehearse in mixed lineup. So we were in mixed breakout rooms, and I could visit all the breakout rooms, and people enjoyed having an accompaniment and singing, and they enjoyed hearing another person's part. And that's what we always want to do. We want our singers to listen, because listening is the whole ball of wax in many cases.
That's very well put. And the thing that I admire is that took an extraordinary amount of extra work for you to provide those tracks, I think, right?
Well, we've done that at the beginning, I do prepare a tutorial, but sometimes the tutorial does not have a full accompaniment.
Right.
I think it's important for rhythmic reasons, for harmonic reasons, just to sing an alto part without knowing in your head what the harmony is, or getting your note from the tenors or from whomever you get it from is a whole different thing.
Well, again, thank you for that.
And I want to mention to all of the choral directors out there, that day before rehearsal, before I tried that new way of doing things, I had the worst headache of my life.
Oh no.
Will this work? Can we do this? Can I encourage people to do it? But you have to take risks. And if the choir is with you, then they trust you.
Yeah.
And if you trust them.
Yeah, and I think
not my life, but you know what I'm saying.
Our risks have been calculated as to what is going to resonate with members. In case you guys aren't familiar with Elayne Robinson Grossman, she's been the music director of Sharim Visharot Foundation and conductor of the chorus there since 2000. She's also a voice teacher and vocal coach. She has conducted here and abroad. She has taught music theory at NYU. And often conducted the NYU Alumni Chorus as well as the National Candles Choir, and is also a choral arranger. So again, welcome, Elayne. Thank you for being with us today. This kind of brings us into the next part of our topic, which we did touch on, and that was ancillary activities. And so I want to welcome our other panelists into doing this. Patti D'Andrea is with us today, and so is John Palatucci. And let me quickly tell you about them too. John is a conductor, a clinician, and an adjudicator, and very much an educator. He has taught both at the high school level and created choirs there that have won all sorts of awards. He has been the director of the Orpheus Club Men's Chorus of Ridgewood since 1990. And has definitely brought them forward, including with performances at Lincoln Center and many other, a lot of wonderful community service. John was also at a time a member of our board here at the Consortium and served as vice president, which we were very, very grateful for. And he often appears as a guest conductor and adjudicator. And then Patti D'Angelo and I go way back. We know each other well, and I'm delighted that she's with us today. She is a glutton for punishment because she is now in her third term as president of the Monmouth Civic Chorus here in Monmouth County. And she's also sung there as a soprano too since 1987, and she serves as their backup accompanist. She's also accompanied the group on their past European tours. In her spare time, she's the music director and organist at Redeemer Lutheran Church in Neptune, New Jersey. So comes at this conversation both from the standpoint of a board member and also as a musician and a participant. So we had talked about the idea of ancillary activities, holding open sings. We talked a little bit about guest lectures, musicianship skills. Special events. Are there any other things that you guys have done that are beyond what we've heard thus far? So please chime in as you wish.
Let me jump in, Patti D'Andrea, just
Hi,
because
Patti.
I wanted to follow up a little bit on something Elaine was saying. The plan that our director, Ryan Brandel, Dr. Ryan Brandel, came up with Janet Breslin, our music director, who is here on the call, was to cycle through 3 different types of activities each week through the fall. 1 week we have a rehearsal of some type on Zoom. 1 week we have a guest lecture on some educational topic. And then 1 week we have open sings of some sort. We are currently working to reformat. We do an annual holiday concert at Count Basie Theater in Red Bank to an audience of about 1,000 people, 40-person member orchestra, 100-member chorus. It's a big production. So we are trying to figure out how to replicate that virtually on Zoom into a 45-minute format using some of the recorded music from past year, working currently with the orchestra to get their authorization and the payment that we need to do for the licensing of using the music they provided. We're also doing multiple virtual choir things, but what Ryan is doing that is just a little different, and talk about dialing up the fear factor a little bit. Each member does a trial recording that we send to Ryan Brandel, the director, who listens to it and provides individual feedback to each member. And then we do a second take of that based on the feedback that we've received. The board, in our discussions early on planning this, were terrified at the take rate we would get in terms of how many people are actually going to participate and be willing to do this. Because we have, like most choruses, probably a decent percentage of our members who are terrified if we ask them to sing all by themselves, put them on the spot in the chorus. We were delighted that we had, I think it was 67 members out of 100 who participated in sending in their video. So that has been an educational thing that we have been really focusing on in terms of Ryan can't hear us as we're singing in Zoom, but wanting some means to still be able to provide feedback to the members. So that has been quite valuable.
That's quite an effort. Again, it certainly puts the onus on the music director to be able to hear and then react to all of those submissions.
Yeah.
So I admire that very much. That's a big job. It really is, to say the least. John, you've been doing some singing outdoors and such. I saw you sent me some pictures.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about
We were fortunate enough. We actually got invited back in September, when we were still, things were a little more relaxed. Downtown Ridgewood, the Chamber of Commerce opened up the middle of town, literally the middle of the street, and various groups were invited to perform. So Orpheus jumped at it, and we, out of the 45 to 50 of us, we got about 15 fellas who volunteered to rehearse outdoors in the parking lot of local church, where our accompanist Ron Levy's the music director. We did 2 rehearsals, and basically what we're really proud of is that while we visited tunes that were sort of part of our standing repertoire, we actually were able to pull off 3 pieces that we had been preparing for our spring concerts that unfortunately, our April concerts that unfortunately had to be canceled. It was a great success and a great morale booster. The guys had a great time. We discovered the KN95 masks. Now I see where Debbie talks about, was it? I got it written down here, Debbie. The Sing Safe masks.
Yeah.
We had just, this again got back in the end of August, 1st of September. So yeah, we're scrambling now still. And I had fellas who were very uncomfortable with kind of the standard surgical mask, that blue thing, very uncomfortable and very unsatisfactory. The KN95 got the fabric away from their faces, and made it very easy, quite frankly, relatively speaking, to perform. We did 2 sets, 2 shows, about 30 minutes each. And what's been great is that what's been the result. We've been able to, some of you are on Facebook and gone to the Orpheus Club Men's Chorus Facebook page. We just, for Veterans Day, we put out a virtual performance, again, of about 15 guys, 15 different guys, of a setting that we do of America the Beautiful, which has now gotten us, we're in the running for a Bergen County grant and a Bergen County award as a result of that virtual performance. So the singing outdoors, we did, and again, the hula hoop thing is not, who was it, Ann, that was you? That's not outside the pale at all. I mean, we were very, very careful with the physical distancing, masks, hand sanitizer, breaks. We actually cleared the parking lot at one point for a couple of minutes to sort of dispel the air, to sort of circulate the air, get guys to move around.
John, I have your website, so I'm going to share my screen and show that video a second, okay?
Sure, you have such a part of it.
Yeah, let me just let people see that a little bit. I think that will be interesting. Here we go. So here's the video that John was referring to.
For purple mountains
idea. Listen, whenever I hear men singing in 4-part harmony, you got me. You definitely got me. There's no two ways about it.
They're great. Again, the camaraderie. Well, again, we all do this in our own languages, but with Orpheus, it's a three-pronged our mission statement. One, you got to love to sing. Two, you've got to enjoy the company of like-minded men. And three, you've got to have a sense of community service. If you watch the end of the video, there's a line that's part of our thing. It says, "We are men who like to sing," and we're men who like to be together. And somebody mentioned it earlier about the whole social communal aspect of what we're doing, and to encourage all of us who are here to fight the good fight. It's very frustrating. Right now, I'm up to my elbows in 2 choruses from Messiah for Everett McCorvey's Messiah Singing this year, and what we're doing is what we here as choral conductors are doing it's a lot of work.
You're right. I think this takes us into that next category of discussing virtual choir efforts, because they have been the only way that we've been able to, quote unquote, make music together.
Correct.
During this period of time. And most of the ensembles that I am aware of have been undertaking these types of projects to various extents. And there have been elements of success and elements of not so good. There is an issue of burnout because sometimes there's so many virtual choir things going on that people get, I think, a little
intimidation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Frankly, and I'll yield the floor. But last night, I was on my wife and my dear soprano wife and I were on the phone and back and forth with computers with someone who was wanting to participate. It was more than a little while of talking this person off of the technological ledge of one or another, and getting them to a place where they were comfortable and are going to be very proud. But again, to underscore this idea that it can be intimidating, and to be patient with our singers and with ourselves, and to keep in mind this sense of community, of sharing, of being a part of a greater good, that I think we all can get behind.
That's a really important thing, John. Thank you. That sense of community, both in our relationship to each other within ensembles and then to the greater community that we normally serve, preserving that has been a major issue and major challenge during this period of time. I wanted to share with you another video. This is
Marina, I'm sorry, I have to, because I'm monitoring the chat and we have specific questions for John before
go right
we move
ahead.
on.
Sure.
I don't know whether, John, you will be able to answer these easily or at all. The first one I think shouldn't be too rough. When you and your choir sang outside in that street thing in Ridgewood, I think you said it was, were the men masked? How did you get them to stay the 6 feet apart? That's the first question, which is 2 questions. And then somebody wants to know, who put your virtual singer tape together, because that was awesome, and how much was this person paid, which is always the crux of the matter. So I will yield. Thank you.
Keep me on target here, Elizabeth. We were masked the entire time. There were about 15 of us, and and I have, you can imagine, I have engineers and mathematicians and scientists who are members of my club. So, it was, we measured that 6 feet by 6 feet, to the micro, the micro dimensions, and again, for the whole sense of the whole fear of the liability thing, that was paramount, that we could answer the question, were you 6 feet apart? Yes. And then some. Now, the frustration with doing the virtual performances, I had been exploring this for months, and had gotten to a place where to do this at all, you either had to have a family member who was tech savvy, or a member of your group who was tech savvy and willing, or it was going to cost you about $500 a piece, a selection, $500 a tune. Gratefully, one of our members in Orpheus is friends with basically the staff photographer for the Ridgewood schools, who came and took stills, but also recorded our live performance. Well, that gentleman put together America the Beautiful. God bless him. Did it gratis, did it pro bono for the experience. He had never done it before. This was brand new to him. And he did it for free. And as a result, he is now, I've got him signed up for 5 more videos, and we're paying him not enough, quite frankly, to help us out. And that's the expense, the liability, and the expertise. Those are 3 big issues that we had to and continue to have to tackle.
Well, you've done a great job with that. Elaine did a video with Sharim Bushrot, and I wanted to just play a little bit of that and then ask Elaine how she went about it too. So let me again share my screen. Here it goes. And I'll bring that video right up. Here we go. And then with credits.
What's the point of this webinar?
Part of the reason that I wanted.
What groups are doing to cope with the COVID situation?
Yeah, please make sure you're muted, please. The thing that was, I assume, Elaine, that all of the credits and such were edited in after you did the video. Am I correct about that?
We did the recordings. I listened to each and every recording and sent it to, well, the people sent the recordings to both myself and Steve Cohen, former president of the choir, and a very technically talented person, fearless in taking risks. He has called us, well, he has called us his guinea pigs. He wanted to try it out on us. And we thought that was just great. He has done a few before, and with each video, he tries a new technique. We did this one in the spring, and we picked the Salamone Rossi because Salamone Rossi was the first Renaissance, he was a Renaissance composer and the first Jewish composer to put music to harmony. He's my hero in that regard. And it was also a piece that everybody knew. It was more difficult than we thought. So even though it doesn't seem so, it was not the easiest one to start with, but we started with it. And Steve put in all of the text. He was only going to put in the Hebrew text. I'd asked him if he translated into English. I changed some of the translation that I felt, we ought to have.
Sure.
making the language more egalitarian.
But the question I have is was the ensemble jazzed about doing this? Was it something that they
Absolutely.
welcomed? Yeah. And that's, I think it very much is up to the music director. If you present this opportunity with a certain enthusiasm, you will get responses. Since we didn't have to go to rehearsals and classes and I was home, I wrote a new piece this past spring, and my two ensembles have soon. We will be doing the world premiere of my new piece called River and Tree. It will be ready for release soon, but I had to cheerlead this the whole time because guess what? I didn't write that easy a piece. And so I needed to kind of hold their hands a little bit and try to make sure that they had the adequate resources and time to do it. But I think it will be all to the greater good. This takes me to one other, the next topic, and I think we need to move along a little bit because time's going ahead. We have so many interesting things.
Thank you for playing that.
Oh, thank you. The idea of the fact that during this period of time, we have lost certain opportunities. We know that, but at the same time, have there been any unforeseen benefits as well? So again, I open this up to any of our panelists who would like to comment.
Well, I want to talk about one thing that we were able to do. And I think some of you mentioned that you have committees, that you had like a COVID committee formed by your board, and I did too. And their job was to just come up with ideas. Almost too many right now. We're still working our way through many of these ideas. I feel incredibly blessed that weirdly, my last concert I had scheduled a week or two earlier than I normally would. So it was February 29th and March 1st. As I watched all my friends shut down during their dress rehearsals, I had already given this concert. At the time, it seemed crazy to be ready for it, but we were. And it was a concert about mental health. And we had done a lot of partnering with mental health organizations in the Morris County area who were present at the concert. And we had the poet there and the composer there. And it's a hard subject. It's a really hard subject. And it's a piece called Open Minds that we have permission to share online without worrying about a lot of licensing or anything. And so we decided to do when I had finished editing the videos, which took a while because our videographer was suddenly busy getting all these churches to live stream. It became a new job of his. But when I had finished editing the video, I did a Zoom interview with the composer and the poet, and trying to think what else we had in that interview. We put together a whole sort of presentation of this work. And again, we did it and then made a GoFundMe for Mental Health New Jersey in America. Because my COVID committee felt really, not only are we panicked that are we going to die as an organization, will we have enough money for Harmonium to continue? That's one story. But the other story is what we still need to be giving back to the community. And sort of the one leads to the other. You have to be still doing that. So the fact that we were able to do this as a YouTube premiere, we learned how to do that whole technology. There was a live chat going on. So people were like, oh, your solo was so great. Or, oh, look at that. Oh, that's so moving. And people's family from all over the world could come and see this if they hadn't been able to come to Morristown. And then we were able to raise like $1,500 for this other group. So that whole experience of doing a YouTube premiere and of giving back, I also feel like I had to give back because I feel blessed that we were able to do that concert.
Well, that's tremendously admirable, to say the least. It's been certainly enough of a challenge for each of our individual organizations to try to maintain our integrity, both artistically and financially, right? And then for you to be able to take it to the next level of continuing a broader commitment to the community and raising funds as you did, just bespeaks the level of your commitment. It's something about Anne that I've always admired. She has always reached out to the community in ways that are unique and effective, and that is tremendously admirable.
And I do want to say that we did also do the other thing, which is we did have an online fundraiser, and I'll be happy to address that when you want me to.
Yeah, well, in terms of, I can speak a little bit to opportunities lost. in April of this past year, Arcadian Chorale here in New Jersey that I founded 29 years ago was offered a solo spot at Carnegie Hall, a solo spot, right? And we couldn't go. 29 years of work and we couldn't go. And then we were involved in a project with Mid-America Productions to do the world premiere of a new oratorio about Elayne, the Nicolas Cage's mom, who was a victim of the Greek Civil War after World War II. And we were really jazzed. We were going to do that premiere in this coming March at Carnegie Hall. And of course, that's not happening either. And we were going to sing the European premiere in Athens next summer, and that's not going to happen. So we've lost 3 major opportunities that I am very, very unhappy about. We're hoping that maybe we can reschedule a trip to Greece the following summer. I hope I'm still young enough to make that trip. But that has been a frustration. Anyone else have those types of stories?
Well, I'll follow up on a more positive note.
Please.
Oh, my heart bleeds for you. I just know I
Thank
can't imagine that. That's
Thank
tough.
you.
That's tough. I mean, we had to give up planning for a European tour next summer, but that's not near in the category of where you were talking. Couple unforeseen benefits, though. We had planned this current season transitioning from our long-term member database to Chorus Connection, and also to our homegrown customer database, which had been lovingly developed by Jerry Metz and maintained for many, many years, that we've decided it was time to move on. So we are now moving on to Audience Pro as a platform for ticketing and sales donations, and are finding it's much easier to do that kind of a major multi-system transition in this year when we're not selling any tickets.
Right.
So that's sort of an unforeseen benefit of everything going on. The other one that we're just, well, 2 others. We had applied early on. I mean, first of all, it's just the whole Zoom phenomenon. I mean, none of us had ever used Zoom up until last March, and we are now finding it an indispensable tool for chorus business, that even when we're back on track in person, we will still continue to use Zoom at some way.
Yeah.
We had applied for a grant. The Grunin Foundation was offering grants for them to provide the Zoom license, that we filled out the application and were awarded a grant. So the Grunin Foundation has been basically paying for our license.
Wow.
They've also now have me as president on their mailing list. So I am attending a lot of different webinars and functions that are hosted by the Grunin Foundation, and developing somewhat of a presence. We're now known to the person in charge of the Grunin Foundation. So those kind of network relationships, I'm hoping will prove to be invaluable as we move forward.
That's terrific. That's absolutely terrific. And you're right. The unforeseen benefits have been that perhaps we have had the opportunity to explore things that in our normal craziness of rehearsals and preparing for live performances, we really haven't been able to indulge in before. Even the things that we've touched on, having composers as guest lecturers and such as part of rehearsals. How often do you get to do that? And certainly finding a way to be able to continue networking in ways that are going to be meaningful to the organization are absolutely essential. There's no two ways about it. And I think, again, one of those unforeseen benefits that we talked about musically is that by having to sing their parts, our singers may be getting stronger to be better singers, right? I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think so, because again, they have to sing their parts. I've been doing it in those live rehearsals because people are spatially distanced. They have to listen more actively, spatially. And I think that that's made a big difference for them too.
Marina, I'll jump in and just share very quickly. We
Please.
had open sing of some of Handel's Messiah, and we recently had open sing of selections from the Bach B minor Mass.
Mm.
Now, I know both of those pieces really well. I consider myself one of the stronger singers. I also discovered that I struggle to sing certain passages when I'm by myself. It really highlighted how much I rely on the other sopranos next to me to carry me through all those fast notes that aren't necessarily part of my strength. So that kind of learning has been invaluable.
That's absolutely a very good observation. Thank you. Any
Marina,
other?
could I just jump in quickly?
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Marina. How are you?
Great.
Good.
You guys aren't familiar with Deborah King. She is a wonderful conductor, and she's also now the president of the New York Choral Consortium. So welcome, Deb.
Thanks.
Please chime in.
Just in terms of benefit that I wouldn't have thought of before, I had my first fusion rehearsal this past Tuesday. I had most of my singers there. 3 could not be with us physically for various reasons that night. And we set up our good old computer to Zoom them in, and it kind of worked. I mean, it was, I mean, we couldn't hear them, of course, but they were able to, have the learning that was going on. And in fact, one of the singers who was zoomed in is the one with perfect pitch who always gives the group the pitch to start. And he gave us the pitch and, through the computer, and we all sang to it. And if people have a cold, they have no excuse anymore, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm so pleased that you could join us. Deb had another commitment and joined us a little later. I've been doing fusion rehearsals too with Arcadian Choral, the same result and issues. So I'm glad I'm not the only crazy person out there. This is very reassuring.
Somebody was asking earlier, is there a specific, how is masking handled? Are there specifics? I personally do feel like it's really important that the masks do a very specific thing. We do now have aerosol studies that we know what stops the aerosol, and forgive me if this has been covered before I was able to join.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, but I know when Ember decided to do a concert, and again, it's with reduced numbers and so forth, we knew that we had to be super, super, super safe. And, yes, the distancing, and we have a whole protocol. We take temperature and we do the tracing and all this stuff, but we also designed our own masks that have the 5 filters and one of which is a MERV 13. And, I do think it's really important. So it's not just a question, is everybody wearing something? And I know there are a number of products out there, we got enough interest in ours that it is available. Not trying to, I don't make any money on it. Ember doesn't make any money on it. So it's not a plug for that, but it's a good option. singsafemask.com, as if all one word.
I'm going to share my screen because I have a little something to show everybody. I have a page for Arcadian Choral that is right up here, since I can get to it. Here. And it's called Arcadian Notes. And one of the main things that I provide for the singers here is different singers' masks that we've encountered. And so there's the resonant singer's mask, which is one of the first ones that we came across. And a number of my singers have ordered that mask, and it's built out around the mouth so that it's not touching your lips, and it makes it possible to sing. And it's pretty comfortable because it's got like a double slide tie system in the back. The mask that Deborah was just referring to is this one here, the Singer Safe mask.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Nope.
Is that what you sent me?
The URL is singsafemask.com. So it's different.
Maybe. Let me just see what takes us.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe.
No, that's where I found it today.
Okay.
Okay. And then there's a smaller version of all this called the Broadway Singer's Mask, which is not quite as extensive, but I think has been used by a lot of people in New York. And then there's a frame that you can put under any other mask that's like a plastic frame. It kind of looks like a small catcher's mask over your nose and your mouth, and it takes the mask off the face. So I ordered 40 of those and have been handing them out to people. So in case anybody's interested, just go to marinaalexander.com, and then at the top of the page here, under ensembles, you'll see Arcadian Notes, and all of those resources are there for the masks. Okay. I decided not to order masks. I figured I'd let people know what was available and let them order what they felt they would be most comfortable with. And also the cost of the masks can vary quite a bit. And so I didn't want to put a financial burden on people unnecessarily. But everybody is coming with masks, some of them with double masks. And we've been managing well. So thank you for sharing that other resource, Debbie. That's really, really, really helpful. Thank you very much.
Marina, can I share one thing about a benefit to some of
Yes,
the lost
absolutely.
opportunities
Please
really
do.
quickly? I don't want to go back, but in addition to our community service that we've done, we help support the Trenton Children's Chorus. And normally, of course, we have a big spring concert that we did not get to do. We set a smaller goal online to fundraise. We exceeded that. But my favorite thing was that I got to learn about all kinds of topics that my choir members maybe would not have ever asked me during rehearsal. So in the spring, I had sent out a poll, hey, what topics would you all want? And so I catered our guest lecturers and my presentations, our accompanist presentations, to hit exactly what they wanted. So it's not just what I think that the choir would benefit from or what they could use for this season's repertoire or whatever. It was really catered to them. And some of these, I was like, oh, you really do want to learn about that. Okay, here we go. So it was a surprise, a very pleasant one. So again, just more knowledgeable than rehearsal content, but still worthwhile. And it seemed even more personable that way since they were able to pick some of these topics.
Yeah, I think you're right, because one of the issues that we've also been needing to contend with everyone is singer retention, right? It's easy to have people kind of fall along the wayside because some people are going to be very comfortable participating in, let's say, Zoom rehearsals and various sessions, and so others are not. And so I think Heather's approach of finding out what your members are interested in is tremendously valid. Can anyone else speak to singer retention? Anything that has worked in a particular?
Yeah, yes, Marina. In the beginning of, at the end of August, we sent a questionnaire out. It was a bit loaded because I would say, do you want to learn this or that? Or what else do you want to learn? And as a result, what we're doing now, at least through December, and we will change a bit in December, but the first 50 minutes of rehearsal is warm up and dedicate and score study. And I explained what we're doing for that before, but also an unseen advantage is that people who do come forward and sing are those who have not done so before. And I get to hear new things and the growth that some singers have had. Then we go to sight singing for beginners and intermediates. And people self-selected for that. I might not always agree with it, but it all works out. Many of the intermediate people I feel are intermediates went to the beginner session. That's fine. We're all going to come out the same. I'd like to retain that. And then we have a half hour, actually we go 35 minutes, 40 minutes with questions of different topics of Jewish music history from the origins till present, across the centuries, across the languages, across the styles. I also asked if they wanted European music history. So these things come in. I will have opera composers come in and speak about composing operas or composing symphony with the shofar. Meir Warschau was here on might still be here on the chat, listening to that. So many, many wonderful opportunities come in that you don't think of and that you don't have time for because you're in your mode of doing it as you've known to be successful before, but now other things come up and you have other wonderful opportunities.
I think that's really important to acknowledge. And I think my feeling personally is that we've entered this virtual world and we cannot go back from it. So even when we do get to go back into our rehearsal rooms and our performance spaces, this operating in to some degree virtually as with our ensembles is absolutely going to be not just inevitable, but necessary.
And not everybody attends each part.
Right.
Some people take a coffee break when something is going on or whatever. And some people who work during the day on Zoom are not participating, but they will come for the music history session. So
that is wonderful. And as you said, we don't always have that opportunity to do stuff like that. To my mind, part of the issue with singer retention is that a lot of us have singers who might be senior citizens. And what do you feel? Do you music directors feel that they'll be back when you open up the rehearsal doors? What's the story?
First ones.
Yeah, first one, yeah.
I think so too, but the ones I worry most about if they're not going to vocalize. So that's why I try to encourage people, okay, even if you want to leave now before we rehearse any music, please vocalize with me for 10 minutes. And I also did make a couple of vocalizing videos. You can all use them if you want. Just look up Dr. Ann or something, Dr. Ann's warm-ups on YouTube. And, I got a 10-minute one and a 15-minute one. And you do worry about the use it or lose it factor, especially if people are home alone and they're not using their voices a lot in a lot of ways. I agree totally with everything Elaine just said, that when you think, oh, I only have 50% of my membership here, because that's about what I see on a typical Sunday night. I see 50 people. I think that's actually good. I'm like, and then I'm realizing it's not the same 50 people as last week. Well, some of them are, and it's not the same people who just sang outside with me. And it's not necessarily the same people who were just on that board committee, or it's not necessarily the same people that did this or that this week, or that did the virtual choir. So if you have a lot of different just ways for people to participate that works for them, that's what we got to do now. It's pandemic.
That's been our experience with Orpheus is, we've done what we've done since March. We get about a third of our singers for whatever it is we're doing. And like I say, like that America the Beautiful video, that was not an auditioned group. That was just whoever, was brave enough to give it a shot. And the outdoor concerts that we did was a different, I would say easily a half to 2/3 were different guys. And the videos we're doing now, the virtual performances we're preparing now, again, it's different guys. And I think, the concern about Zoom burnout and the intimidation are real, but to come on, we can let's give it a shot. Let's try. And your morale and what we've experienced with Orpheus is that there's a certain amount of esprit de corps and morale building when they see, oh my gosh, it worked. that you build on.
Absolutely. I think that's essential. The challenges I know for organizations have included financial challenges, right? Being able to fundraise and such. Who's done any fundraising online? We know Ann did. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes, Heather?
We did. Like I said, we fundraised for the trend.
For the children's
chorus. We also were promoting. Oh, was I frozen? Got me. Okay. This wasn't for us per se, but we did a little bit of an online get them together to visit local restaurants and to order takeout and things like that. So we have a lot of community awareness. So even if we weren't specifically fundraising for our chorus, we were trying to do so for other hurting businesses in the area.
And Art is doing a virtual gala on December 4th. So if you guys want to log in to Facebook or YouTube, please feel free.
Well, again, the question becomes, can you integrate fundraising into, for example, a virtual choir that you post online or something like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I was going to say that even before the pandemic, for birthdays and well, we'd maybe post another video for a portion of a concert, and we'd say, you want to donate, and via, like say, via Facebook. Facebook makes it very easy. This is now about 6 months before the pandemic. Me being the egotistical maniacal dictator that I am, raised $1,300 from just like, hey guys, we did a show. Can you help us? And we're also, this is going to sound nuts, but we're in the process right now. The chairman of our board, is working on a grant for, guess what? A half-hour virtual concert.
Yeah.
So it's like it's our brave new world gets braver all the time.
Yeah, I think again, it's a question of one needs to put one's ear to the wind and see what's out there. There's some funding. Arcadian Chorale got monies from the what was known as the Monmouth Cares grant to try to just cover our basic expenses through these 6 or 8 months. And I was so very, very grateful that we were able to get support through the county. It made a wonderful difference in covering the expenses that I would normally incur, that I have no choice but to incur during this period of time. So again, but if I didn't keep my ear to the wind and see what was going on, I would have known to apply. So you do have to see what's going on out there. I wanted to, toward the end of this, ask you about, has anybody actually scheduled any holiday performances? Do you have an event coming up? Heather?
Sorry, we don't, not a formal performance, but we do have 2 holiday caroling schedules.
That's great.
Yeah. Is that, can I skip ahead or is that okay?
No, that's great. That counts. That counts.
Great. So mid-December, we went to one of our local food markets, the Pennington Market down near Hopewell. They've got a really huge parking lot. They're going to give us a section. So we're going to plan some caroling there while we've got some people coming in and out. It's a busy Sunday. But we'll also be collecting food for local food banks there. So hopefully we'll be getting some canned goods walking in and walking out from all those folks. And then we have actual good old-fashioned caroling planned. This is all, again, masked. It's all spaced, social distance, all of that.
Outdoors?
Outdoors, all of it's outdoors, yep. We have a neighborhood planned, one of our members' neighborhoods that we'll go to. So instead of going door to door, we'll ring a few doorbells at one time so people can come to their own doorsteps, and we'll be in the street, again, very distance, and we'll do some singing that way up and down a few roads. So
good for you guys.
Yeah,
that'll
be fun.
Anyone else have upcoming performances?
Yeah.
Actual planned performances?
Yes, Ember does.
Okay.
We have an unusual, for us, it's a first anyway. We're trying it to see how it works. We are actually performing, and we're performing indoors, but with no audience. And the organization that is filming it for us has the 360 cameras, and they actually are marketing it internationally. Ask me later how it worked out. I don't know.
That sounds quite ambitious, to say the least.
Well, we're rehearsing for it. Again, it's kind of like was described earlier. It's kind of week to week. Can we continue, to rehearse? But the numbers in our area are not that bad, and we're very strict. We have a whole protocol listed out. If anyone's interested in that, that's at emberensemble.org/COVID. And and we really follow the protocol, and the singers are very good about rehearsal, safety, and so forth. And
yeah, that has to be paramount.
Absolutely.
Since I have been doing fusion rehearsals, as Deborah very happily gave me a nice category that I can call this, I thought that the rehearsal should have some sort of outcome. And again, happily enough, Arcadian Chorale has been singing the holiday concert for the city of Freehold for the last maybe 17 years. And we do it at a very lovely, big Catholic church. And the church is still willing to have us come down and sing there. So we're going to do a live concert, but with no live audience. Let me just quickly share my screen one last time here. Here we go. And so let me just show you that flyer. Here it is. So we're doing something called Songs of Comfort and Joy. And we will have singers spaced throughout the assembly of the church with our accompanist live. Everybody wearing masks, everybody spatially distanced. The church and I have been in intense conversations. They will make sure the church is sanitized and everything is ready to go. And then we will offer it live on YouTube on December 20th. And so at least this way, the folks that have been rehearsing and working so hard these many months will have some sort of outcome. And I just really felt that that's really important. Now, again, if we get to a point where this does not seem to be practical, then I'm going to have to find some way to do it virtually. But so far, the response from the chorus has been quite supportive, and they have been working hard to learn a program that should last about 35 minutes, give or take. Obviously made it shorter than usual. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. And again, thankfully, I have the technical folks from within the chorale who are able to ride herd on that and make sure that we're able to do that broadcast successfully. So keep your fingers crossed for that one, please. But I'm pretty excited about it, and also very grateful to the members of Arcadian Chorale for continuing to be so dedicated to do something like this.
This is an idea, Marina, for folks. What we're going to try to do is a short call to concert, if you will, but we're staggering the dates. For example, we're doing, and again, very short. We're doing a verse of Rock of Ages, Ma'ut Sur, for the first night of Hanukkah. On December 14th, we're going to do a verse of Lo How Arose. Again, they're about a minute each. And this will give you a little bit of taste of what Orpheus is about. So we're first night of Hanukkah, Ma'ut Sur. December 14th, sort of midway through Advent, Lo How Arose. Now for Christmas Eve, we've got an arrangement of the Crystals, rhythm and blues, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And again, I think in terms of morale and just getting people excited and involved, guys, get the grandkids on the screen. They're going to love this. We'll make fun of Grandpa. So to stagger, rather than like, okay, we've got to do 4 or 5 tunes for this date. If you do, could do 4 or 5, I guess, but we're going to do 3 and stagger them 7, 14, 24. Also, our video editor, it's easier on him he's not inundated with like 60 individual videos that he's got to synchronize by Tuesday.
Right.
It's
so
a little more manageable.
Those are going to be short virtual choir things.
Yep.
That's really a smart idea. That way it maintains your presence with your members and your audiences. It helps to celebrate the holidays. And as you very astutely said, it's not burdensome. And I think that's really important. Absolutely. Very, very important.
I know you're running out of time, but I just want to share we're having a virtual, we're calling it Harmonium for the Holidays on December 13th, because it's the Sunday night that would have been our concert weekend, and we've been meeting on Sunday nights anyway. But we're going to open this up to the greater community, and we're going to upgrade our Zoom for that night so that more than 100 people can come. And we're going to release our big virtual choir video that we've been working on all summer that night, and show some old, I'll talk about my programming and my favorite piece, and show some old videos. We're probably going to have a ugly sweater contest, and my cabaret troupe will probably do something. They're the ones who put on our fundraiser. So and it'll probably be about an hour, but I wanted to give everybody that sort of family feeling, like come be a part of our family and let's celebrate.
Exactly. That is very admirable as well. The issue of, again, bringing some sort of purpose, some sort of culmination, be it through something that's live, or through the virtual videos, or through organizational events. I think is really very important, because when we ask our members to come out week after week after week and continue to maintain contact, I, like anybody else, want it to be to have some sort of perceivable purpose, perceivable end. Our purpose is a greater purpose, obviously, again, of continuing music learning and continuing ensemble skills and all sorts of other things, vocal development, and organizational cohesion. But at the same time, an actual goal is something that I think is elusive in this type of time. And whatever way an ensemble can structure that, there is benefit, to say the least. Today's conversation has been just great. I have enjoyed very much hearing from all of you. And I want to thank all of our panelists today for doing a great job. So give them a virtual round of applause. Bravo. The thing also that impresses me is that the choral community here in New Jersey is still very much alive and well. We are still singing. We are all present here, and we will make it through this very crazy and challenging time. Once we can all sing together, the consortium has already tried to think of a couple of events that we could put together to celebrate together, so that we can enjoy being musicians and to enjoy our fellowship. So please, once we get back together, let's see if we can get together to celebrate our common joy, to say the least. I also want to pass on my thanks to all the members of the consortium's board. Today's event has been a collaborative event that we brought together with dealing with all different strategies and issues. So I just want to thank you all for being very, very much a vital part of this. And I wish you all the happiest of holidays and much, much more wonderful music and singing. So thank you very much for a great afternoon. And again, you can contact the consortium via our new and beautiful website. Please go and check that out too. We took the time of COVID to create a new website, which we believe is going to serve you all much, much more directly. And then as usual, in January, we will have our annual meeting, and we will have that meeting virtually. So you'll be able to tune in just like you did today, so that we can see how we are going to go forward into the new year. Okay, so thank you very much, and I will bid you adieu. Have a great, great rest of the weekend and a great holiday season. Thank you all. Okay, and Jeremy, why don't you take care of things? Okay, there you go. Thank you.